Welcome to the Disneyland with Kids podcast, where we help you plan your vacation in 30 minutes or less. We've got our eyes on Disneyland tickets just for you. Tickets bought today at our exclusive low rates are good through the end of 2023. Visit disneylandwithkids.info/book to unlock the secret savings. This episode is part 2 to the Start Here guide to Disneyland Resort. If you missed part 1, it's a great time to take a scroll through all of our previous episodes and find part 1 linked in the show notes. I'm Jessica from the Happiest Blog on Earth.
And I'm Julie from Mom Rewritten.
Julie, I have loved watching our Disneyland with Kids community grow. We have so many helpful members who chime in to answer questions for our newest members, and this happens at all hours of the day. I especially want to thank our top contributors over the past month. We have Sarah, who is one of our previous mods and still hanging out with us at Disneyland with Kids, Lorelei D, and Tanya R. Thanks, ladies, for your contributions in the Disneyland with Kids Facebook group.
Yes, we have such a great mix of members in the group, and that includes locals like myself and those coming back for the first time since reopening, including our friends from Canada, now that they're able to travel into the U.S. again.
Oh, that is so exciting. It really is a unique place, and we want to help everyone who joins us in Disneyland with Kids. If they know a ton about Disneyland, it's a great place to share their experiences and expertise. And if they're brand new, we've got answers.
Right. That's exactly why the co-founders each started our websites and then decided to expand into Disneyland with Kids. So we have our original, which is the Facebook group, as well as this podcast and a new digital magazine. So however you like to get your Disneyland information, we've got you covered.
100%. And you've hit on the first thing to do for anyone going to Disneyland. Join Disneyland with Kids. Follow the group. You can also opt into our newsletter as well. And all the things we just mentioned, you can find those resources on disneylandwithkids.info. And since we're building off of the Start Here part 1, I wanted to go over the points that we covered in that episode. Today we're going to skip over those, but again, in case you want to go back and listen to them, here's what we covered in part 1. Best ticket options and deals, which most of our members know is through our ticket partners at Getaway Today. And again, you could find that link at disneylandwithkids.info/book for exclusive savings. We talked about making theme park reservations, which are still a thing, and we plan to see those continue on through the near and long-term future. We talked about dining reservations and our favorite hack to get those dining reservations that doesn't involve waking up at any crazy hours of the morning. We talked about the tech aspect of Disneyland, including Genie Plus. We also went over banned items and some that you might be surprised. And Disneyland plans. Those are itineraries and guides to help you through your day.
That's really a lot that you and Becca covered in that part 1 episode. So everyone should be sure to listen to that. And I'm glad we're doing part 2 because there's really still so much to learn and know once you're actually inside the parks.
Exactly. So Julie and I today are going to be covering rope drop, mobile order, lightning lane, multi-experience pass, and rider switch pass. All of these will help you actively achieve the best Disneyland day ever. So Julie, let's get started. What is rope drop and why do we talk so much about it in Disneyland with Kids?
Technically, rope drop is when Disneyland cast members literally drop the rope at the end of Main Street to officially open the theme park for the day.
Okay, but why does that matter? Is this like a super exciting thing that we need to line up and watch? Because everyone's always talking about it in the Facebook group.
Well, there's no big fanfare or anything, but yes, it's very important to be there at Rope Drop if you like short lines and getting in lots of attractions before the crowds come pouring in. And of course, most people want that, right? But you have to get up in the wee early morning hours and make sure that it happens if you really want that. So if you want to be there for Rope Drop, aim to be at the parks at least 1 hour before official park opening. This is going to allow you time to get through security, and the cast members will start letting guests into the park about 30 minutes ahead of opening, so that those that are on Main Street, you're going to be the best prepared for Rope Drop. You can swiftly get to the first chosen attraction of the day.
Okay, so this is happening at Disneyland Park, and are we seeing this happen at California Adventure as well?
Yes.
Perfect. So you can rope drop at either park, depending on which one your reservation is at. Now, even with rope drop, there are different types of rope droppers. We have your committed guests who are at the front of rope drop, like right next to it, and they are power walking to that first ride. And then we have people who show up for rope drop but take some time to get lockers and have a little photo shoot. So Julie, which type of rope dropper are you?
Well, if I'm with my kids, then for sure we're just taking care of business. Maybe we're getting that locker, purchasing a hat or some sunglasses or something in the emporium that we might have forgotten at home. And we usually pack in a breakfast snack so that my kids will eat that while we wait, and maybe capture a few pictures of Sleeping Beauty Castle before everybody crowds around it. So how about you, Jessica?
Yeah, it really depends on who I'm with, like you mentioned, and what we're doing. A lot of times in the summer, we do an extended family vacation, and there are 18 of us. So we aim to do rope drop, and we actually did so well last time we went together, and I was shocked because we also had people parking at different places, walking from different places, and we met up and we got into the parks at rope drop, but we weren't at the rope. So the bigger the group, the harder it is to kind of wrangle everyone together. But my typical pattern these days is to get there before official park opening at rope drop, but I'm not at the front of the rope. I actually like to stick toward the back, get my locker, take some photos, maybe stop in and get some food or drink somewhere before the parks open. But then once the crowds kind of clear out, I am definitely power walking it to one of those rides. And in the past, we have been some of those first people right up at the ropes. But I think depending on what you're trying to hit first, you can do either one. Like, we always recommend having a plan for Disneyland, and usually that doesn't include rope dropping Peter Pan. A lot of people still give that advice that I feel is outdated. However, if it's just like me and my one teenager, and we're there at the beginning of rope drop, right at the rope, we might try it. We might try power walking over to Peter Pan because we don't have to deal with a stroller that we're parking anywhere, and there's not a huge group of people. But generally, that's not how we do it. But I mentioned about getting food, and this is the perfect way to move into mobile order. So let's explain a little bit what mobile order is and if we have to use it.
In a simple word, no, you don't have to use mobile order. But you should. Mobile ordering is a way to place quick service restaurant orders ahead of time. Yes, you can still go stand in line at the quick service restaurants, but mobile ordering is going to save you some time. So I'm going to explain a little bit how it's done. It's all done through the Disneyland app on your smartphone or your mobile device, and this is how it works. You're going to pick the restaurant of your choice, scroll through the menu, choose what you want. You can even make substitutions, and then place the order for one of those available time slots. The app will store your credit card information, but you can also use a Disney gift card or a Disney Visa redemption card to make the payment. Now, when the time approaches for your pickup, you'll receive a push notification on your phone. And when you've arrived at the restaurant, you just click the "I'm here, prepare my order" button, and then you'll walk physically up to the mobile order window, when you receive a confirmation on your phone that the order is ready. So you just show the number to the cast member, they're going to hand over your food. So mobile ordering is really extremely convenient, and it's an excellent time saver. For my family, that is one of the first things that we do with our day. We usually place all of our quick service orders first thing in the morning because on busy days, those time slots do fill up. But what if you're just not hungry yet and your time has come, or you're standing in line, or you're in another part of the park and you can't go and pick up your order when you get that push notification? It's just really easy. In the app, you can push back the time if you need to, and you can just change the time in the app. And if you've never used mobile ordering at Disneyland before, make sure that you play with it at home. Use the app, see how it works. Just stop before you actually place the order, because you might accidentally mobile order mint juleps and beignets, and then you'll be stuck at home and you won't be able to enjoy them.
Oh my goodness. That's actually one place I was going to say is probably the best place to use mobile order is at Mint Julep Bar, where they have the beignets and mint juleps, because every time the line is so long. And if you just place your mobile order as you're heading in that direction, you will feel like a VIP. You'll get to step up to the next window, grab your food, and be on your way before the standby line even starts to inch forward. It's great. I love also, that's like a little flex mode. I was there with my dad. I'm like, hey, let's try these drinks, mint juleps, and they have a seasonal one. So I placed the order. We rode Pirates. We stopped at the restroom. And then we come around the corner and there's this long line, and I just walk up and he's like, oh, you already got them. I'm like, oh yes, mobile order. Now.
It's true. It's true, because I know that I went with my kids around the holidays, and we went to Jolly Holiday for breakfast, and there were about 30 people. I think my kid counted at least 30 people waiting in line to place an order. And my son said, why are they all standing in line? Because I literally walked up and got my stuff at the mobile order window. So
I know sometimes you feel like you need to just go tell everybody, but I guess this is what we're doing right here in the podcast, because sometimes I try to help people in the parks, but it's also like sometimes they just look at you and go, that's okay, I'll just wait here. And we're like, no, really, this can save you time.
Definitely.
Now, for those of you who are here just for the rides, we've got some terminology coming up, so get your pen and paper or be ready to replay this, because there are new things to be familiar with. And while we've covered this in several episodes, it's worth repeating because everyone learns differently, and something we say might just make it click.
Yeah, and if not, you can always go back to our episodes that cover Disney Genie Plus in more detail.
Right. So let's kind of skip over Disney Genie Plus and talk about Lightning Lane. Sometimes I use these terms interchangeably, and I know a lot of people do, but what is Lightning Lane?
Yeah, it's a little confusing, so let's break it down. So once you have purchased Disney Genie Plus at the price of $20 per person per day, you'll have the chance to book Lightning Lane attractions. Not every ride at Disneyland or California Adventure is available for Lightning Lane, so some attractions like Peter Pan still have the regular queue, and there's no way to bypass that. Lightning Lane is also the name of the line that guests will use after they book an attraction through Disney Genie Plus. And you'll see those return lines marked with Lightning Lane signage at the entrance to the attraction. So when your return time arrives, you'll go to the Lightning Lane entrance, scan the ticket or the code in the Disneyland app, and be ready to book your next Lightning Lane attraction. But to complicate things, because Disney just likes to do that to us, there's also something called an individual Lightning Lane.
Okay, so let me recap, make sure we have this straight. Genie Plus is the mechanism we use to get a Lightning Lane. And a Lightning Lane allows us access into the Lightning Lane queue, the line. That is generally shorter than the standby queue. And you have to pay for Genie Plus. Okay, so hopefully everyone is following. But the next one, you said individual lightning lane. And we're going to
Yes.
cover that now. So Julie, help us out.
Okay, individual lightning lanes. So those are a select number of attractions that cannot be booked through the Disney Genie Plus. And at this time, those include Radiator Springs Racers, Web Slingers, A Spider-Man Adventure, and Star Wars Rise of the Resistance. So in order to go through the lightning lane line for those rides, you'll need to purchase what's called the individual lightning lane. And depending upon the day and the popularity, expect to pay between $7 to $20 per person to ride those attractions. So it's highly recommended to purchase Rise of the Resistance in particular very early in the day, as those individual lightning lanes tend to sell out. So to clarify, individual lightning lane are the rides you purchase separate from the Disney Genie Plus service, and lightning lane is the line you use to kind of skip the queue.
So lightning lane, it has a sign. That's the one you use if you have a lightning lane or individual lightning lane for that ride.
Yes.
Also, if you want to ride any of those rides, whether it is lightning lane or individual, you can always choose the standby line. This is an optional upgrade. So in the past, Star Wars Rise of the Resistance was only accessible through something that's now obsolete, a virtual queue. So now it's accessible through individual lightning lane or standby. So you're not forced into paying for the upgrade, but there are lots of benefits to skipping that wait time. One more tip I want to share about purchasing individual lightning lane. My favorite way to secure my lightning lanes through Genie Plus is by looking at the ride list alphabetically. So if you want to ride Star Wars Rise of the Resistance, that's going to come up in S, not R. Because you're looking quickly, you're trying to purchase that before they run out, and you're like, where is it? It must be gone. Star Wars Rise of the Resistance, although many of us just call it Rise of the Resistance. So look under S.
Yeah.
Whew.
Good tip.
Okay, sometimes your lightning lane can magically disappear. Oh my goodness. It's like, what is happening? Because you spent all this time navigating the app, purchasing the things, and you don't see it. But in its place, you see a multi-experience pass. So the first time I saw this, I was super excited because I thought it meant I could use this pass to ride multiple rides. But what is a multi-experience pass?
Okay, so let's say you booked a ride using Disney Genie Plus, and then the ride breaks down or it closes for some reason. A multi-experience pass will automatically be added to your Disney Genie Plus account in the Disneyland app. You'll be able to use this multi-experience pass to reschedule for select Disneyland Resort attractions. And it's important that when you're scrolling through to reschedule, you just pay attention to which attractions are valid, because sometimes the app will include rides that aren't usually available with Disney Genie Plus. Also, if you have a park hopper, these multi-experience passes can be used at either of the two parks.
Right. So you use it for one attraction, even though it's called multi, but I think the multi implies that you can use it for various rides one time. And it's so interesting that you can actually use it on even a ride that doesn't have lightning lane at either park. So for example, we had lightning lanes for Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, and we got a multi-experience pass, and I believe it's a little circle icon that's like means information that you tap on it, where it shows you the list of rides, and you can toggle between Disneyland Park and California Adventure Park. But listed on there was Snow White, which is recently reimagined, and I love the reimagining of Snow White's Enchanted Wish. And so we use that on Snow White, but Snow White doesn't have a lightning lane. So how do you skip the wait, right? They only have standby. So what we did was we talked to the cast member at the exit of Snow White, and they directed us where to go. And we skipped the entire line. It was so amazing, and there's not a lot of people redeeming their multi-experience pass for Snow White or rides that don't have Lightning Lane because it's confusing. So whenever I get those, I really like to hold them close and strategize how I'm going to use them. Another cool thing about those multi-experience passes is they are no longer bound to that time window, return time window. So you can hold it on till the end of the day to ride something when lines are a lot longer.
Good to know.
All right. Next up, we have Rider Switch, which is also known as Stroller Pass. So you know what I'm talking about, Julie, but any other nicknames you can think of that Rider Switch or Stroller Pass goes by?
Yeah, I've also heard it called Rider Swap, Child Swap, Child Switch, and it's generally used when someone needs to wait outside of an attraction with a child who either doesn't meet the height requirement or just doesn't want to ride it. So essentially, the Rider Switch allows one adult to ride, then switch out with a second adult without the second adult needing to stand in the queue again. So this is how it works. Everyone in the group just will go and approach the cast member at the entrance and request the Rider Switch. Not all of the attractions offer this, so always check first. And the first group of riders goes in while the non-riders wait outside. And once the first group exits, up to 3 people can go back in to experience the ride, usually through the Lightning Lane or the exit, whichever the cast member directs you through. And I know it sounds super confusing, so let's come up with like a basic example. So let's say grandparents are traveling with 2 kids. They want to go on Star Tours. The grandson's tall enough to ride, but the granddaughter isn't. So grandpa goes on Star Tours with the grandson while grandma waits outside with the granddaughter. Then the grandpa comes out and switches places with grandma, who goes back inside the ride with the grandson through the Lightning Lane. So essentially the grandson gets to ride twice, and the adults each get a turn to ride. So does that make a little bit more sense? I hope it does. So Jessica,
Yes.
Here's a question we hear frequently in the Disneyland with Kids group. Now that we have Disney Genie Plus, how does Rider Switch work with Disney Genie Plus?
Yes. Okay, so it does work together, but I'm going to explain it the best way I can, which is not about hacking the system. So, the original intention of Rider Switch is so families do not have to wait in the standby line twice. So the first group will wait in standby, the second one will go through the exit or Lightning Lane like you mentioned. But what if your group has Genie Plus and your first wait is in Lightning Lane? You can still get a Rider Switch, and you're going to use the same approach by going up to the cast member and talking to them, and they will set that all up on the app for you. One of the things people question a lot about is kind of hacking the system by only buying a couple of Genie Plus access to Lightning Lanes and using Rider Switch so that they don't have to pay as much. That's mostly where we're getting the questions from. And for that, I will just say it's ever changing and evolving. It's up to cast member discretion on what they do. So I would say if most of your group is going to be using Genie Plus, to buy it for everyone, and you can still use the Rider Switch as intended. And if no one in your group is purchasing Genie Plus, the first group will go through the standby regular wait, and the second group will skip the wait. Basically, we just want to expedite this. That's what Rider Switch is for, so that you don't have to do it twice in the standby line. So hopefully it'll be quicker. But the cast members can handle that all for you. And there's usually some really great attractions and shopping and things to do nearby while you wait. So Julie, do you have anything to add with that? Do you have experience to share with Rider Switch and Genie Plus, like doubling up on those?
Well, I actually haven't been to Disneyland since Disney Genie Plus came out. It was released just a few weeks after my family went during the holidays, but I will be going with my family over spring break, and we do plan on trying it out because I know my daughter, it's already too short for the Incredicoaster, and I have a feeling that even though she's feeling very brave about going on your favorite ride, the Guardians of the Galaxy, there's a big chance she's going to chicken out. So I may be taking advantage of the Rider Switch program for that.
Cool. And the other thing to note, like how I mentioned different things you can do nearby, Rider Switch, your first group who's waiting out, they don't have to wait in the line with you, if that wasn't clear before. Mm-hmm. So even if they're not tall enough, they're not going to have to wait in line with you. They can go and do something else, and you guys wait in line. So it's a great service to use at Disneyland, and you'll have to let us know how that goes. And, you know, there's always people who want to try to hack things and do things, so totally do it at your discretion. Just know that there's sometimes the cast members won't allow that if you're trying to, like, buy less Genie Plus access. Thank you, Julie, and all of our listeners for joining us today. It's really been action-packed and a great podcast episode to share with family and friends visiting Disneyland Resort. And if this helped you, will you do me one quick favor and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts? We'd sure appreciate it. But before we go, we always end with our traditional Disneyland Would You Rather. So we're going full silly mode on this one. Julie, would you rather ride Big Thunder Mountain or Incredicoaster backwards?
Oh my. Oh, well, I'm not a big thrill rider like you, Jessica, but Big Thunder Mountain is my favorite mountain, so I guess maybe I could go for that backwards, since there are parts where it like slows down and yeah, okay, I'm going to go Big Thunder Mountain. I kind of think I know what yours is, so you go ahead. What's yours, Jessica? What would you do?
Well, I was thinking this because some theme parks do backward attractions like during certain times of the year, and to my knowledge, they've never done this at Disneyland, but I would do Incredicoaster, but I also want to preface that I don't want it to have to go backwards because we got stuck at any point on the attraction. Just like if it was a thing, I think I would be down for that. I guess also just thinking about the, like, literally going backwards, like you're facing backwards. Like, I think that would be crazy because you don't know what to expect. So I think that would sound really fun. You know, if Disney has the capability and they ever want to do that, I will be there.
I know you would, with your hands up.
That's right. You've been listening to Jessica and Julie share part 2 of your Start Here guide to Disneyland Resort. We hope you'll join us at Disneyland real soon for our Disneyland with Kids Halloween Days event happening September 15th through the 18th, 2022. Buy your event tickets now and unlock major hotel savings and more at disneylandwithkids.info/events. That's disneylandwithkids.info/events, and we'll see you in September.